Hey guys, Coney here, and welcome back again to another Let's Play of Love, Money, Rock and Roll series. Now we last left off from the previous episode about another meetup with Ellie and Nikolai in the music room. Now what happened is that in second episode, Nikolai cutting classes again, despite of what the principal said to him for the sake of looking for answers about Catherine's return. Yeah, but he got no luck on that one and he got go back to class because it already started and he doesn't want another scolding from teachers, so he decided to take a stroll in the hallways of the school until he heard the music, and this is where it happened. A bit of altercation, but nothing worse happened there until both of them heard footsteps and someone is about to enter that place, so two choices popped out, whether I should hide or not hide. But for the sake of gameplay and her looks and the reason, so I go with the hide option. And guess what happens next? Yep, both of them hide inside the school closet. I gotta say, if that happens in real life, it might be the most awkward and uncomfortable place to hide, but gotta say it again, it would be the best thing that could happen in your life as well. You know what's going to come with someone, right? And I know what you're thinking, what I'm thinking. Regardless, everything went totally fine. The teachers and the principal left the room and both of them came out and another altercation happened. Ellie called out Nikolai pervert, groped her with his eyes. I mean, sis, that's not possible, okay? And yes, Nikolai did point it that it was her idea to hide inside a closet, not him. But overall, the tensions between them already toned down and they compliment each other about stuff and music. I mean, not gonna lie, I like Ellie's personality so far and also her hobbies as well. The bell rang and it's time for another class, but as I said, he has no plans to go back because he will get scolded again from the teachers. So he went past the school gates and went to a bar he's familiar with. We came in and then the bartender greeted us and having a small talk about catering and other stuff. And then the delinquents came in. Well, for those who don't know what happened about the delinquents, well, you can go ahead and watch the first episode of the Love, Money, Rock and Roll series. For starters, they were the one who bullied Kagome in the first episode, and we intervened them, beat them for good, and never do it again. And I don't know if they can do it again someday in Kagome, but hoping not. So if you haven't watched that video before, the link is in the description below, or just click at the top right corner of your screen. Well, we all know what's going to happen after that, and yeah, Nikolai was outnumbered. He got beat pretty well. Plus he has a black eye, which is painful and doesn't look good in terms of appearance, I would say. Now after that, Nikolai went back inside the bar again, and not only the bartender is there behind the counter, but Catherine was there too, sitting and ordering a cocktail for herself. They're having a closer talk to each other, as you might see on the title of the third episode, trying to get into others' understanding, feelings, and also to lessen down the tension after what happened on the second episode of the series. Link in the description below. Well, nothing serious happened at the time, and everything went pretty smoothly. After the conversation, Nikolai went home late at night, noticing there was a light inside his house, knowingly someone was in there trying to instigate him, but good news is it was Himitsu, preparing a meal for both of them. Well, Himitsu was worried that it took a short notice on the black eye on Nikolai's face, asking is he alright, you okay, or something, but Nikolai said the robber got him pretty well, but he got arrested shortly after stealing someone's property that was actually a lie. Well, Himitsu didn't buy on Nikolai's excuses, but we all know about that, literally. A small talk just happened about school stuff and such, and then two choices popped up on the screen whether I should tell her that I'm with Catherine or lie. Honestly, it might be the difficult thing to do, so I picked the lie option. I don't know why I picked it in the first place, but whatever the case, I'm hoping it will be fine soon. Now, after dinner, Himitsu went home. Nikolai washed the dishes and immediately went to sleep. That was until past midnight. The phone rang. Nikolai went up to see who that was, and then a caller gave him a warning, the same warning that was written on the note, but this time he said, you should be careful who you're talking to or associate with. Now this warning gives him the creeps, and yes, it was past midnight, to the point that he closed all windows and doors and even unplugged the telephone. Wow. Well, because of that, he woke up pretty late and it's already past noon. You should have just used your alarm clock and put a ringtone on it. And that is where we left off on the previous video, so that is why in today's video, we are going to continue the progress that we have left off in the previous video, as I said again earlier ago. So without further ado, let's get into it. And before we continue, please hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell to get notified for the upcoming videos in my channel. And also hit the like button if you find this video enjoyable. Now, let us proceed on the 4th episode of Love, Money, Rock and Roll series. Enjoy. I woke up late. It was already past noon. The house was quiet. Too quiet, really. I'd missed school again. Oh well, to hell with it. After all, my life was on the line now. Or was I being overly dramatic? I walked into the kitchen and stood there in a stupor. My head felt heavy. Thoughts jumbled together. I wanted to sleep a little longer, maybe just another 10 hours. A glass of cold water helped me bring to my senses. I looked at myself in the mirror. Oddly enough, the black eye was gone. I checked all the doors and windows. They were locked securely, the way I had left them the night before. I found a note from Himitsu in the hall. I was worried, blah blah. Will come by after school, blah blah blah, more blah. Thank you, but no thank you. This must have been the first time in my 18 years alive I'd faced a situation like this. The move to Japan at an early age, the challenges of adaptation, the deaths of my parents. All this had been tough, but they'd seemed more like fate than someone acting against me. This time was different. Something was threatening me directly. Someone was warning, cautioning me, sincerely or not. But who could possibly be interested in me? Then it hit me. It was improbable that I personally would be of interest, but it might be about my parents. They had immigrated from the USSR after all, and they worked for Kobayashi Corporation. And the voice on the phone yesterday had been speaking Russian. The sound was altered, sure, but it was clearly unaccented. Boy, these words are getting harder and harder to pronounce. Where did they get these words? I don't know exactly what my parents were working on, but it might have been something serious. A lump formed in my throat. Work serious enough to kill for. The most frustrating thing was that I knew nothing about it. Except, who was going to believe me? I had to act fast. I pulled out my dad's old address book and scanned through it for the numbers of his co-workers. A few I'd met, some I'd heard of. In any case, anything was better than sitting and waiting. Good afternoon. My name is Nikolai Anokin, and no luck with the first dozen numbers. Some were no longer at their old jobs. Others didn't pick up. One had even passed away. I turned the page. There was a number, written in my father's firm, even hand, and underneath it a name, Ichinose-san. Ichinose. I'd heard that last name before. Long dial tone. 1, 2. After 10, I was about to hang up when a familiar elderly voice said on the other end, "Hello?" At that point, I remembered Ichinose-san used to visit frequently when I was younger. An ever-polite, affable, good-natured old gentleman. He used to bring me candy and ask me about school and my hobbies. Then he and Dad would sit together in the garden for long stretches of time and, with an air of importance, do a lot of smoking and talking. Good afternoon. My name is Nikolai Anokin, and Oh, Nikolai-kun, he interrupted. Long time no see. How are things? Fine. He gave a stock answer. Was I supposed to dump everything at once on him? Everything that had happened to me in the last few days? I'm sorry about your parents. The voice in the receiver turned somber. I vaguely recalled seeing Ichinose-san at the funeral. Thank you. Actually, that's why I'm calling. I mean, not literally, of course. For a moment, I remained silent. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. Could you please tell me about my father's work? I know he worked as an engineer, but what exactly did he work on? Has something happened? Why the sudden interest? And now, of all times, to tell the truth, something has happened, but it's not important. Why not? Can't you tell me? Yes, of course I could, but it's just... What reason did I actually have to trust him? Just because he'd been over to our house a couple times and had been nice to me. So, are you going to tell me, or not? Is this some kind of secret? Not a secret, no, but it's somewhat complicated. I get that it's complicated. I'm not a child anymore. I grumbled back. So, what happened? Some people came by and asked questions about my father, about his work. I lied. Asked about his work, did they? Ichinose stretched out the words ambiguously. And what exactly did they ask? I don't know. I mean, I didn't tell them anything because I don't know anything myself. And how did they question you? What do you mean? Well, what was the tone? Now I was absolutely certain Ichinose knew far more than he was letting on. What's more, Ichinose seemed apprehensive. Should I be worried? That's for you to know. He replied coldly. If I knew anything, I wouldn't be calling you, right? Nikolai, you shouldn't drag yourself into this. Why? Do you know something? Tell me. This concerns me too, you know. No, this does not, in fact, concern you. If you lay low, everything will be alright. But that's all I'm going to say. Don't call here again. Short tones followed. Everything will be alright. Yeah, right. On the other hand, I could at least thank him for indirectly confirming my suspicions. This was indeed about my father. I collected my thoughts and tried to remember everything my father had ever told me about his job. An engineer. What do engineers do? Build stuff or more accurately draw plans? God, why did a 16-year-old kid care about details like that? What had mattered to me was that I received my allowance and that all was well at home. I was certain about one thing. My father had been working on conventional construction. Defense, maybe? Had he worked for the military? But what difference did that make? I still didn't know a thing about his actual work. Unless the whole thing was someone's sick joke. The hour hand on the clock moved inexorably towards 3 and I hadn't even eaten breakfast yet. Himitsu would arrive soon. The note made that clear. Enough already. She wasn't my mother. Of course, as I thought that, I felt the sting of my conscience. Still, I absolutely had to get some fresh air. Oh, okay, so you go back to the same bar again from the previous episode. Well, can't stop you, Nikolai. Can't stop you. Just do your own thing, that's all. I decided to go to my favorite bar for lunch, even if it was the site of yesterday's unfortunate incident. Yeah, we remember that. The bell above the door rang as I entered, but none of the few patrons present looked my way. Only the bartender gave me the usual smile and waved at me. Hey, Kolya! Been seeing a lot of you lately. Not that I don't enjoy your company, but after yesterday... I stopped in front of the bar not knowing what to say. No, my anger toward him had already passed. After all, people have their own lives and jobs to worry about. Will it be the usual? No, I've come for lunch. Got it. What would you like? Don't know. Give me a steak, I guess. It shall be done. The bartender managed to imitate the Japanese way of addressing guests to near perfection, but he twisted it in his own peculiar way, so he ended up sounding more like the overly hospitable host of a medieval tavern. I sat down at a table and sank into thought. The steak turned out well, as expected. Yeah, the food here was as good as the beer. I was lazily picking my teeth for the toothpick when the doorbell rang out pleasantly again, signaling the arrival of a new customer. Oh, it's Michael. Okay. Standing in the doorway was Michael. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm chewing something. Hang on. That was one person I'd never expected to see here. So, why not? He noticed me and came to sit at my table. A split second later, the bartender appeared beside us and placed the menu in front of Michael. A friend of yours, Nikolai? He asked in Russian, hideously drawing up my name in a French manner. You heard that right. Too bad I can't speak Russian. Something like that, yes. A classmate. I replied in Japanese. What does the sir desire? I couldn't decide whether I was more irritated or amused by his performance. Just coffee. Right away. Chimed the bartender before taking off. School over? It is. And you didn't show up. Yeah. Well, let's just say I had some business to take care of. I had known Michael for 2.5 years. He was from the States and his parents have also been working in Japan for a while. We were never particularly close, but his seriousness and strange maturity commanded a certain respect. You could say he was a perfect opposite of Kiyosaki. I take it you don't want to go into detail. Not particularly. Really. Some guys at school had been bragging that they beat someone up yesterday. And I snarled back, irritated. It was hard to tell with Michael if he was hinting at me or just sharing gossip. You haven't heard anything about that? No. I see. He kept sipping his coffee, gazing somewhere past me. As uncommunicative as I could be at times, Michael was something else. Was he really comfortable now? So, what's going on at school? The usual. And how's Catherine? Honestly, Nikolai, you just need to move on. Come on. It's already in the past, as you said in the previous episode. Come on. The question slipped off my tongue of its own accord. I hadn't even thought about her until that moment. Michael set his cup down and stared at me intently. I don't know. We're not acquainted, remember? Oh, right. Back then we were in different classes. He kept looking at me strangely. What? Was there something between the two of you? You've probably already heard everything from Kiyosaki. But I'm asking you right now. Okay, yes. There used to be something, but that was a long time ago. And now? And now? There's nothing. I see. Are you curious because you're from the same country? I'm just wondering. Well, why did she enroll at this particular school? I don't know. I'd have to ask her. By now I was sick of this question, even if usually I was the one posing it to myself. Have you thought that maybe there's a reason behind it? What difference does it make what I have or haven't thought? You don't know Catherine. Thinking is wasted on her. Sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. It's nothing to do with you. I've just got more important stuff on my mind. Michael kept his voice so calm and level the entire time that it was beginning to annoy me. If he didn't actually care, why ask so many questions? Anyway, this isn't the most pleasant of subjects. Sorry, I didn't realize that the two of you still... He coughed pointedly, that it was an unpleasant topic for you. But he could have guessed. Imagine that. I felt like tossing some bills on the table and walking out. But I had few friends as it was, and this kind of behavior was pretty typical of Michael. Did anyone ask about me at school? Not that I heard. I see. And how are you doing anyway? Not too bad, except I have no free time at all. I'm preparing for college admission. College admission. I draw out the words. Where do you want to go? Back to States? Most likely. Well, what? Tired of this place? I smirked. It's just that higher education is better there. Michael calmly responded. His words touched a nerve. Unlike him, I had little choice. And even if I wanted to, the best I could hope for with my grades was a minimum wage job. Our conversation had stalled right out of the gates. Well, I think I'll be heading out. See you at school tomorrow. See you, he said in the same level tone. I waved goodbye to the bartender and left. Had the bar been a courtroom, Michael would have fit the part of the prosecutor to perfection. Stern, cold, dispassionate, operating only on facts. And what would my chances have been then, seeing how I flew off the handle at the drop of a hat? Excuse me. I wandered aimlessly around the city, passing street after street. Passing street after street and neighborhood after neighborhood. I found myself at a part of town where I'd never been before. A curious thing, Tokyo was, of course, much larger than my hometown, but back during my childhood, everything seemed huge to me. The apartment, the yard, the kindergarten, the store across the street. So my mind could comfortably draw comparisons between that tiny place from my childhood and this multi-million person metropolis. I suppose I was always at ease in a crowd of perpetually rushing strangers. Sometimes I walked in the same direction as them, as though in lockstep, and other times I went against the flow. The crowd paid me no attention, accepting me as one of their own, and thank goodness for that. Maybe because of this ability of mine, I noticed someone was following me. Sure, it's often the case that a stranger happens to be going the same way as you. One turn, two, a crossing wouldn't be a problem. But when you're just wandering around and someone mimics your every move without fail, you know it's no coincidence. I quickened my pace, crossed on red, turned into an alleyway, and walked briskly through it. There were two possibilities. Either I was just being paranoid or I'd managed to put some distance between me and him. I pretended to be checking out the TV behind the window of an electronics store. At least 5 minutes passed, but my mysterious pursuer hadn't shown up. It occurred to me that I had finally lost my mind. That called for a sedative, or a drink. But I hadn't made it up. I was sure that someone had been following me. Who and why? That was another question. Maybe I relaxed too early. Was it worth checking again? Okay. Try to find the tail or do nothing. Now, if I'm in this situation, well, you could at least just turn the corners 3 times or maybe more than that, and if he's still following me, you could just call the police and something instead of finding it, because there might be a chance that you might be getting in trouble, or in rare cases you might get stabbed by someone else, or someone will point a gun at right of your head and blow you off right in the middle of the city. Yeah. So if that is the case, so Nikolai just kept walking around and entering the alleyway, so he probably noticed the police or something, but he didn't even mention it, so I have no option but whether I should go do nothing, or I have to go find by myself by trying to find the tail. I mean, this might be the risk option, but I tried to play safe here, okay? For the sake of gameplay. Now, you know what? I'm gonna do nothing. There's nothing worse you can find in that one, but instead a little bit of embarrassment to yourself, and also you're in the middle of the public city. So yeah, try not to get attention on that one. Quit psyching yourself out, my mind protested. Why couldn't I just have imagined it? Or maybe there were 2 different people who just so happened to look alike. I took a deep breath and continued my aimless wandering. I still kept looking around, but there was no one following me anymore. See? I told you. Oh wait! Oh my! Wait, is that you, Alyssa? Oh, oh wow, so you're now... Okay, so you're here in the wild nights some kind of... Wait, hang on a second. Ah, okay, local underground bands. Well, looks like Elisa is finally achieving her dream to become a guitarist or a musician or something. And yeah, they actually added a bit of reference from Everlasting Summer. Oh my god, I missed that game too. I missed that game. I played that on my old YouTube channel, but I don't know if I have plans to make a video on that one, but yeah, it's already outdated. That game has been a couple of years right from now. So thank you, but no thank you. But it was a great game. Guys should give it a try on that one. Anyway, where was I? It was already dark when I found myself in front of a music club I'd occasionally visit to see the local underground bands. If daytime in Tokyo still felt as warm as in summer, the evenings were getting increasingly colder. I wrapped myself more tightly in my denim jacket and shivered. The house was some distance from the club, so it made sense to go in and warm up. Oh my god, that's a pretty good coffee and chocolate and drink right there. The inside of the club was pretty crowded. Cigarette smoke hung heavy, and the air was saturated with the spicy aromas of beer, sake, whiskey, plus God knows what else. Frankly, drinking hadn't been on my to-do list for the day, but this was too much to pass up. I got a beer from the bar and squeezed myself closer to the stage. The first band was playing some basic heavy metal. Yeah, I know the volume is it's kind of low, but yeah, I can clearly hear the band playing the music on it. Japanese bands that played this kind of music didn't try to reinvent the wheel, happy to copy the Western masters. Some did it better than others. This band was only so-so, which is why the majority of the audience were occupied with anything and everything, except listening to the music. The unfortunate metalheads could have possibly not have noticed and by the end had given up, just trying not to make complete fools of themselves. Then again, who was I to judge? I couldn't play my bass even at their level. The next band was dressed in 70s fashion, a sure sign that some old school rock was to follow, so I went off to wander the club. Although I would come here from time to time, I'd never made any friends. Usually I just stood around by myself, guzzling beer. It was pointless to expect international stars here. I only cared about the local bands so far as they helped me while away another boring evening. I remembered how I brought Catherine here once, although she hadn't liked it at all. Himitsu, meanwhile, refused to go to concerts at all for some reason. A young couple was cuddling in the corner. I watched them for a good while and suddenly felt revulsion. Oh my god, Nikolai, just do not intervene, okay? Just let them do their own stuff, okay? Don't mind their business. Do not intrude their privacy, okay? And wait a minute, wait a second. This is a music club. Is PDA allowed in this room? I mean, come on. Alright, and you know what? You know what? Fuck this. Just do whatever the hell you want to do. Just make sure you don't get caught having sex with someone. No, that won't do. I told myself. Tonight, at least, I'm going to relax. Yeah. I dashed to the bar. Down 3 shots of whiskey. Oh? Yeah, that's pretty bad. That will be a complete failure on your liver, Nikolai. Just drink moderately. Come on. Picked up another beer and headed back into the crowd. This time at a far less steady gait. Sheesh. The old farts had finished playing and the stage was now occupied by some glam rockers tuning their instruments. Okay, this was more like you're shouting in the middle of the crowd in the music room, so I can't do that, but I gotta do this. Come on, let's get rocking! I yelled. A guy standing near me glanced my way and said, "We're gonna rock, alright. Don't you worry." What? Are you playing too? Or what? Sure am. Then why aren't you on the stage? They're all busy tuning. I don't need any tuning. I'm always tuned. He adjusted his sunglasses. Why was he wearing them indoors? See ya. Aesthetic, I would say, Nikolai. Don't ask me, I don't know too much about fashion. With that, the guy disappeared into the dressing room. The lights dimmed and the speakers erupted with the first guitar chords. Alright, hi everybody. We're Z. Wait a second. I don't know this. Wait, how do you pronounce that name? Z. Feel. You know what? I give up. And the voice. Oh, wait a second. Okay. Now the color. It's Ellie. It's Ellie. This is Ellie. It's Ellie. This is Ellie's voice. A familiar voice came over the microphone as bright lights beamed down from the rafters. Oh, it is Ellie. Well, actually, they didn't change anything right here except for transitioning of the lights, but no animation added. Wow. And they're playing their music, something? And maybe I should give it a little bit of vibe on that one. Hang on a second. Let me adjust the volume. There you go, much better. Well, that's actually pretty good, not gonna lie.
Again on the stage.
Oh wow.
Watching all the lights die.
Oh my god, that's beautiful.
You just came in, appeared from nowhere. You took my hand and said, please stop crying. You and me.
This is actually pretty nice, not gonna lie, this is actually pretty nice. Just give me a little bit of second before we continue on talking. I just need to vibe with this one. Oh. Nice. Yeah, you can actually see me bumping my head up and down, but you can actually feel the vibe while playing music with the band. Oh my! That was actually pretty good. Maybe I could find a soundtrack on YouTube later. I'm gonna download that and maybe take a little bit of inspiration from that one. Oh, that's actually pretty nice. Anyway, moving on. Standing center stage in a rather unusual outfit was Ellie, guitar in hand. Nice. Standing, then singing and playing. Now this I was not ready for. I said out loud, but no one could hear me over the thundering music. Yesterday's episode of the old music classroom came right back to me. Had the money driven her insane? I could understand learning music on the side, but this here? I listened more intently. They were actually pretty good. No wonder they'd been asked to headline. The crowd clearly took well to the music too. As the first song ended, Ellie shouted thank you into the mic and surveyed the audience, lingering on me for a second. Did she spot me? Judging by the surprise and even embarrassment on her face, she did. Oh my. So what? Did she really think no one would find out about her nighttime transformation from perfect student and lady into the queen of Tokyo Glam's rock scene? I chuckled. Fell for her? Where did she come from? That weird kid, that keyboardist from Z, I'll skip, was standing next to me again. You were just up on stage. It's going to take some effort. Look, I haven't. We just go to the same school and sort of know each other. Oh, is that so? His eyes flashed from behind his sunglasses. Really? What kind of dumb name is that anyway? Z-Feel... It's pronounced Z-Feels. Like the enemy robot, you know. Z-Feels. Honestly, I don't actually get the meaning of it. I look at him skeptically. It's to attract friends. If the jam-packed club floor was any indication, Z-Feels still lack for friends, at least not around here. The crowd was getting hyped up in anticipation of the next song. An instant later, the guy I had been talking to was back on stage behind his instrument. They were playing some kind of ballad, and I kept shooting angry looks at my way. You know what? My suggestion, Nikolai, leave the stage as early as possible, come on. Of course, I was here just so I could distract her from her performance. Come on, don't be a party pooper, come on. Still, she did have a nice voice and played well too. Maybe she had a gift, but even so, to get this far, with all her other obligations and responsibilities as the scion of a respected family, time is finite, after all. I had no obligations, no responsibilities, and yet all I'd learned to play were 2 or 3 songs from tabs. I suddenly felt a surge of respect for Ellie and backed away from the stage so as not to embarrass her further. Nice one, Nikolai. Just give her space, that's it. I leaned back against the wall where she couldn't see me. She doesn't do as well without you. Anger imparts strength. What the hell? Ah, you guys are playing now, as in, right now. Right now they're solo. This kid was starting to get to me, so I went back to stand near the stage. Oh. I think I heard that something wrong. Okay, seeing me, Ellie fumbled with her strings and metallic twang roaring out from the speakers. Were fancy servants going to lynch me now? But she quickly recovered and carried on playing as though nothing had happened. But once the song was over, and before the next one began, Ellie suddenly shook her finger at me from the stage. Don't tell me that's a middle finger, come on. Now that was just ridiculous. How was that my fault? Was she obsessed or what? I made a point of not looking at her, focusing my attention on the other members of Zed Fields. The basses looked fairly ordinary, almost to a fault. Considering the band's style, I'd have expected edgier attire. Still, he was better at it than I was. How long would it have taken me to be able to play his parts as cleanly? I couldn't make out the drummer's features behind his equipment, and unfortunately, I already met the keyboardist. That turned out to be the last song. The artist demanded an encore, but the band quickly disappeared off stage. Maybe they didn't have a particularly large repertoire. And what was I going to do next? On one hand, I wanted to talk to Ellie and tell her that I liked her music. On the other, wouldn't that sound like a trite compliment? Besides, she was clearly not happy to see me at her concert. While I contemplated, the crowd began to disperse, and still, Zed Fields hadn't emerged from the dressing room. Oh wait. Ah, yeah, much better. They must have left through the back door. Oh well, I didn't have much to say to her anyway. Still, I was grateful to Ellie. Her music had allowed me to escape my problems, if only briefly. The club was almost empty now, but I remained frozen in the middle of the dance floor, immersed in my own thoughts. Usually, I would leave before the end of the concert, in high spirits, rather than hang around for the bitter aftertaste of fun's conclusion. And Elisa is already gone. I guess she went home after the concert, I guess. Either it had gotten warmer outside, or the alcohol was warming me up. Somehow I made it home in no time at all. Another note from Himitsu rested on the doorstep. Oh, surely this time she could have let herself in with her keys since I hadn't bolted the door from the inside. She could have made dinner and waited for me like she'd done the day before. But the note made it clear that I couldn't even begin to count on it. Oh what, did you just think I was just out having fun? The note. Mysteries. Just because I couldn't tell her about all that stuff didn't mean I didn't want to. So I'd gone to a concert. What did it matter? A guy had to enjoy some culture once in a while. Of course, none of this was Himitsu's fault. I was just tired of her incessant, misplaced worrying. I'd started to feel like I was in a cage when I was around her. Children usually becoming more independent as they age, but Himitsu had essentially replaced my deceased parents, and little had actually changed in my life. But to take all this for granted? Did I really feel no gratitude toward her? Judging by the note, she wasn't just upset. but hurt too. Maybe I could at least call her. I didn't need to give any details, just tell her that everything was okay. I could, of course, stop by her place, but it was already late. I reeked of alcohol, and a phone call was enough in this situation. I dialed the phone number I'd known since childhood, and almost immediately her voice came over the line. Hello? Nico-kun? Just about what I'd expected. Hi, sorry, I disappeared today. Silence on the other end. You wouldn't believe me if I told you I had things to do, would you? Did you? I sighed heavily. I'm hurt you're hiding something from me. If I was, there would be good reasons for it. But I'm not hiding anything. The inane laugh was meant to diffuse the situation. You know I'm always here for you, if anything happens. Okay, I know. Don't worry about me, Don't worry about me, Himitsu. I'll see you at school tomorrow. Good night. Good night. I hung up and paused to think. What if I told her everything? I doubted that Himitsu could help me in any way, but at least I wouldn't have to shoulder my problems alone. I was gazing at the phone and I was just about to head to bed when it rang. For the second time. Huh. Himitsu again? Did she forget to say something? Yeah, hi. I started automatically. Seriously, who else would call me this late? Who else would call me? Period. Wait, Ichinose? Again? Huh, alright. Nikolai-kun. But I was wrong. It was Ichinose-san. Ichinose-san? I'm listening. Nikolai-kun, I thought hard about whether to call you. After all, I did tell you this morning to keep out of this business. But I owe much to your father, you see. And since he's no longer with us, the least I can do is repay my debt to his son. I simply didn't know what to say. Are you listening to me? Yes, absolutely. I'm all ears. I don't know all that much myself, nor did your father, I suspect. But there is a person. Write this down. No, memorize it. His name is Akira Shinji. He used to work with your father and I, but he was laid off. He now owns a little restaurant somewhere on the waterfront. Ichinose fell silent for a moment and continued hastily. Nikolai, I don't know if you're in any danger, but please, be careful. Ichinose-san, which waterfront exactly? There's so many in Tokyo. The name is pretty common too. I can't. I have to go. Take care of yourself. He hung up. He was clearly afraid of something. Afraid, yes, but he still called and warned me, and even gave me a clue. Although the name alone might not end up being enough. For some reason, I felt no fear at that moment. More like reckless excitement and boldness. Probably owing to the quantity of alcohol consumed earlier. The second I got off the call with Ichinose, I felt incredibly sleepy. I barely made it to my bed before crashing. Oh, finally. Okay, we're finally passed into that one. Jeez. Looks like I had to make a summary for the next video about what happened in today's video. September 10, 1987. Oh wait, that's my birthday. Yeah. Nice. Now what do we have here? Oh, just flashing lights. Okay, now that's not a good sign for you, Nikolai. You drink too much alcohol for that one. Wait, am I recording? Yes, I'm still recording. And it's almost past 40 minutes. But yeah, anyway, I gotta have to save this progress before we continue on the next video. But so far so good, everything went pretty well, except for a little bit of altercation between conversations on the phone call. But the best part here is we going to the concert and also making fun of Ellie's performance. But not gonna lie, I really liked her performance and also the song that was played. during her scene in the stage. Might as well have to find that song on YouTube, and yeah, I can keep it on my gallery or something. But anyway, that's it for today's video, and we are going to continue that maybe around a couple of days. I just need need a little bit of rest on my throat right now. It's kind of dry right now, so you heard that I'm drinking or eating or something just to make sure that it won't dry it off as I keep on narrating or doing voice acting with these characters. But so far so good, everything went well, nothing worse happened here. So thank you so much guys for watching, and I hope you find this video enjoyable, but at the same time really soothing to your ears as I'm narrating. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care and stay safe. Goodbye.